Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we're talking about how to read people and avoid wasting time on the wrong ones. Let's get into it. You already know something is off about that person. You've felt it for a while, but kept explaining it away. 1. How people reveal themselves, both genders. The truth is never in the big moments. Big moments are controlled, rehearsed, carefully managed. When people know their BH first dates, interviews, introductions, they show their best version, not their real one. The real patterns show up elsewhere, in how they treat people they don't need, in how they react when something small goes wrong, in how they speak about exes once the early politeness fades, in whether they follow through on things nobody is watching. That's where people stop performing and start revealing. The 3 things every person can't fake over time. 1. How they handle losing. 2. How they treat people they don't need anything from. 3. Their relationship with discomfort. 1. How they handle losing. Losing an argument, losing a game, losing a deal. Not getting what they expected. Hearing no. Being fairly criticized. Watch what happens when someone doesn't get what they wanted and observe it without flinching. Do they take it in and adjust? Do they go quiet in a way that feels like punishment rather than reflection? Do they externalize it, blaming the referee, the economy, or you? Do they spiral? Do they minimize it so quickly it feels almost automatic? Do they explode, then later act as if the reaction was justified by an unreasonable world? Loss reveals structure. Wins don't. Anyone can look composed when things are going their way. 2. How they treat people they don't need. This idea is often repeated, but rarely actually observed in practice. The waiter test, the assistant test, the intern test, the person with no leverage, no stats, no ability to benefit them socially or professionally. The one they'll likely never see again. Watch how they behave when nothing is being exchanged. That's the unguarded baseline. Everything else, kindness toward authority, attentiveness in romance, professionalism, is layered performance built on top of it. The baseline is what remains when there's no incentive to perform. 3. Their relationship with discomfort. Every discomfort. A conversation they should have but avoid. A responsibility that demands effort. A plan that needs to change. A truth that would be easier not to say. An emotion they don't know how to process. Notice what they reach for. Do they move toward the discomfort and stay with it, or do they look for an exit? The exit can take many forms: distraction, avoidance, substances, deflection, sudden busyness, or redirected conflict. People who tolerate discomfort eventually outsource it to others, always in predictable ways. The pattern is the person. This is the most important concept in this entire piece, so concentrate. A single incident tells you almost nothing. 2 incidents tell you something to pay attention to. 3 or more incidents of the same type tell you a truth about the person that will not change based on how much you love them, how clearly you communicate, or how many conversations you have about it. When someone shows you a pattern, they are handing you their owner's manual. Most people skim it and then act surprised by exactly what was written on page 1. The reason people miss patterns is that they evaluate incidents in isolation. He canceled last minute, but he had a reason. She made that comment, but she was stressed. They handled it that way, but it was an unusual situation. Each incident, viewed alone, gets a pass. And the pass is usually reasonable. Context matters. People had days. Nobody performs at their best under pressure. But when you start pulling back and looking at the incidents together, the excuse system collapses, because it turns out the cancellations happen consistently, and the reason changes but the frequency doesn't. The comments happen consistently, and the stressor changes but the target is always the same. The handling is consistent across situations that aren't actually all that unusual. The pattern isn't the bad day. The pattern is the person, and that pattern will outlast the version of them you initially connected with. It will outlast the honeymoon phase, the good intentions, the therapy sessions, the promises made at 2 a.m. when things felt urgent and real. Not because people can't change, some do. Because change is rare, and in the meantime, you're still living inside the same pattern you noticed early on and chose to rationalize. Why? You miss it anyway. Intellectually, you already know most of this. You've seen it happen. You've warned someone else to trust their instincts, watched them ignore it, and then watch the outcome unfold exactly as expected. And you've done the same yourself. Missing it usually isn't about lack of intelligence. It's about cost. Seeing people clearly comes with a consequence. Once you understand the pattern, you have to respond to it. And responding is expensive. It can mean distance, endings, uncomfortable conversations, or accepting that the version of the situation you hoped for doesn't hold. So instead, a kind of selective blindness forms. Not out of ignorance, but out of protection. You lean toward the evidence that preserves what you want to keep. You treat contradictions as exceptions. You become less of an observer and more of an advocate for the person. The price of that choice is delayed. It's paid later consistently, and usually with interest.